And yeah, there I am. It was taking a while to go live. I'm trying to get my hair fixed here. Yeah, I know. I keep saying I need a new wig real bad, and I do. This one is getting like totally ratty. I do need one. Yeah, still waiting on that. Uh, Still waiting on that big refund to come through. So, how we doing? Here it is, May 4, first Saturday in May. And if you're keeping track, and I think the title of this post and video and everything else kind of gives it away. Yesterday was my birthday. Yesterday I turned 62. Yeah. The technically speaking, this was the birthday that wasn't supposed to happen. Yeah, pretty much everything from this point on is like pretty lucky to be here. Yeah, 61 was it. That was supposed to be the cutoff. That was going to be the end. And so here I am, 62. Day past my 62nd birthday. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I'm feeling better. I'm still not working. Still having trouble writing. I tried starting a story for Mermaid this month, and I just could not get going. I think I already spoke about this a little bit, but I just could not get the inspiration up. And I haven't written anything really. I got contacted by my editor, and he's from Monsters and Critics, and he's like, "Hey, Cass, you haven't written anything in a while. What's going on?" And I was like, I'm dealing with some personal issues right now, and I just don't have any ideas. So really, I got to try to get a couple of things out here because they're starting to wonder where I'm at. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I just all of a sudden everything just hit me, and haven't been able to get anything going. I know what I want to write for Mermaid, and I discussed this in my last video when I talked about switching over my blogging platforms. But man, I can't seem to get going. I really can't. It's hurting me. I don't want to call it writer's block, but it's just like whenever I sit down and start writing, all of a sudden, whatever feelings I have about wanting to write just vanish. And it's just like I can't bring myself to put words down on electronic paper. It's so hard. It's like nothing's there. And it's bothering me. It really is. I mean, it's now been well over a year since I've done any serious kind of writing. And I don't know when it's coming back. I really don't. I mean, I went on such a long tear for writing, and now it's just like I sit down at the computer and I'm finding all sorts of reasons not to do stuff. And that makes it hard. It's a lot of procrastination, a lot of just, I can't get my head around it. I can't. Sad. I hope this ends soon. I really would like to get back to writing. I keep saying that, but I never seem to really get to writing, I really would like to do something for Mermaid. I have the story, and instead of like publishing stuff all the time, I think I'm just going to write it and get it out. But I don't want to have to feel as if I'm struggling to get it done. And that's my big worry, is that I'm going to struggle to get it done. And I don't want to do that. So I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. Oh, I love writing, but I just can't seem to bring myself to do it anymore. And part of it is, the depression. It really is. I can feel it. I mean, I can even feel it like in my chest right now. Um, like it's like this physical presence right here where you just feel worn out all the time. I really do. I really feel just kind of like nothing's happening. I feel worn out. Depression. Yeah, you gotta love it. No, you don't. I don't love it. I hate being depressed. I really do. I hate depression. I hate having depression. And it's easy for people to say, well, you just need to shake it out. Go out and walk it off and go in the country and stuff like that. I need to get back on my meds is what I need to get back on. But I haven't been able to get with a doctor or anything like that. And now that my medical insurance has been renewed for another year, I need to start pressing harder. But it's also a catch-22 because when you've got depression, it's like, I need to do this. And then like a month later, you're going, I need to do this. And a month after that, that's the one thing I think is hardest about depression is really motivating yourself to do things that you need to do, and you still can't bring yourself to do them. And several of my friends who suffer from depression, they talk about the same thing. They talk about how hard it actually is to just do things. Like even going to the store, you'll constantly be like, well, I'll go like in a couple of hours. And then a couple hours goes by and you're still not out of your night clothes. You still haven't brushed your teeth or gotten ready for the day. And it's like, okay, well, I'll wait until after I eat lunch. And it just keeps going on. And finally, you get to the end of the day and it's like 8 o'clock at night. And you're going, well, I guess I'll go do it tomorrow. I have actually, because we do have some of the stores around here are open 24 hours. I have actually like run out to get groceries at like 11:30 at night. There was one time when I actually went in my pajamas. It was leggings and my cami top, but I just threw on my winter coat because it was winter time, and I just threw on my winter coat and I went out. And I didn't unzip my coat that much. I was just like, I don't give a shit. I'm going out to get groceries finally. And it was about 11:30 at night, and they were stocking shelves and everything else, and I'm going through picking up food. Yeah, I mean, it's just the way depression is. And it's like, I need to go get a therapist. Maybe I'll go tomorrow. Maybe I'll go tomorrow. Maybe I'll go next week. Man, it is. It sucks. It was sort of like, I talked about I got a new license plate for my car. My car is finally registered in Pennsylvania. I am officially all the way out of Indiana. I have no ties back to Indiana anymore. And for the first time, my car is actually sporting a license plate other than the state of Indiana. The first car I ever owned, I got in 1975. And I went from 1975 to 2019, plating cars in Indiana. Yeah. So, of course, I waited until the very last moment to try to put the license plate on. And the wrench that I was using would not work. And I was like, oh, shit, what am I going to do? I couldn't get the nuts to unscrew. And I thought, do I have any tools in like the wheel well of my car? And I had forgotten that years and years and years ago, like 10 or 15 years ago, it was not long. It really wasn't. I don't think it was long after I bought the CRV, which was in 2004. So yeah, it was like 15 years ago, almost 15 years ago. I bought a emergency road repair kit, and I threw it in the wheel well of the CRV, and it was sitting in there. I was like, wait a minute, what the hell? And I remember it just started dawning on me. It's like, well, yeah, it had jumper cables, because I have a set of jumper cables in the wheel well of my CRV, and they had come with this package, and there was a wrench in there and WD-40. So I just, you use WD-40 to loosen up rusty stuff. And I just used it to loosen up everything as much as I could. And I used the pair of pliers to actually unscrew the screws holding the license plate into the car. And I managed to do this. But I'm doing this at like 11 o'clock at night, it's like I kept putting it off and putting it off. And the whole time I'm like, I got the plate on Friday. I have until Sunday to change it. And I waited until like the very last moment on Sunday to get the new plate on. It made absolutely no sense. So, but that's just how my life is. It's just, depression just makes you a massive procrastinator. It really does. I think I even mentioned one time, I may have mentioned my depression was so bad one weekend, I showed up for practice late. I actually showed up for practice like 40 minutes late. And I told the coach, God, I lost track of time. And she's like, yeah, that's okay. And I told some of my teammates later, I said, my depression was so bad that day. I said, I absolutely had no idea what time it was throughout most of the day. If I didn't check the clocks, I didn't know what the time was. I didn't have a good estimation. And the bitch of it was, I have prompts to come up. I have it in my calendar. Oh, you have practice. And my prompts come up like 90 minutes before practice is supposed to begin, because it takes me 40 to 45 minutes to drive to Lancaster. And I said, I saw it come up and I didn't even think anything of it. I just blew it off completely because I didn't think anything of it. And then I remember pulling into the parking lot, and still I'm sitting in the parking lot going, wow, what are all these cars doing here? There must be something going on in the overlook. And then like 5 minutes later, while I'm playing on my phone, it hits me. It's like, oh shit, practice started at 8 and it's 8:40 now. I was like, oh shit, I'm so late. And they had to come and unlock the door, because we lock the doors on our practice because we don't want people wandering in. And somebody had to come and unlock the door for me. I actually heard somebody say, could someone unlock the door? No, me standing outside. And I was at that point, my depression was so bad, I was almost starting to cry. And I was like, should I just leave? Should I just go? Fortunately, my coach showed up right then and unlocked the door. And I think she could tell I was having a hard time, because when I started talking, I could hear my voice breaking. And so I knew I was like right on the verge of tears. And she was like, it's okay, don't worry about it. It happens. I did not sign in, because officially, if you're like 15 minutes or more late, you're not supposed to sign in. Technically speaking, you're not there for practice. So I did not sign up for practice. I was just like, I'm not signing in. I'm not here. And yeah, I felt bad. I was crying. That was a hard night for me. I was crying through most of that practice. I would just like wander off and cry and then come back. And then I remember I was crying in the parking lot a lot. Like I'm starting to do now. It sucks. It just sucks. So I got to get help. I do. I got to get back to getting help. The anniversary of my incarceration is over, and I need to put that behind me. It's done. I survived out that year, and it was a year I wasn't supposed to. That's why I say this yesterday's birthday was a birthday that wasn't supposed to happen. And I did have a little dinner by myself. I had a lot of birthday greetings. I probably had close to, I don't know, 190, 200 birthday greetings yesterday. Had birthday presents. I got flowers from Lynette. I know I have a couple of other things coming. People have told me that they sent me stuff, so. But I did. I got flowers from Lynette for my birthday. Really nice flowers. Yeah, and I had dinner. I had noodles. I went to Inci, and I can't pronounce it. Ice noodles in Lancaster, and I had a spicy noodle bowl, broth bowl, with some sake. I had actually asked permission from coaching if I could have a drink, and there's a reason for that. And coaching said, "Oh yeah, don't make it a big, don't get drunk and don't drink after midnight." And I said, "Yeah, sure. I'm not drinking after midnight." And I ordered like the 8-ounce cafe of sake, and I think I only ended up drinking like half of it. It was almost too much. I had wanted to go to this Greek restaurant, and like some of the tables were not even filled, and they were going, "There's a half-hour wait. Do you want to sit at the bar and have a drink?" I was like, I shouldn't be drinking on an empty stomach. I'm sorry. I'm going to go. And I was like, there are tables outside where no one's sitting. There's tables inside where no one was sitting, and they're going, "There's a half-hour wait." I was like, the fuck are you waiting for? I get it. Maybe there were reservations and they were waiting for the people to come in. But still, it's like, why? Why do you have a half-hour wait? Yeah, I just said fuck it and left. Because, one, I wasn't going to drink a lot. I had actually anticipated like having a cognac. And two, I hadn't eaten. So there was no way in hell I was going to drink on an empty stomach. It's like, no, I don't want to be doing that shit. That's a recipe for disaster. So actually, before I started drinking, I had an appetizer. I had some really filling spring rolls, homemade spring rolls, and I got those down before I had my first shot of sake, which I have not drank in like, Jesus, 25 years, 30 years, about 25 years. Actually, closer to 30. Used to love sake. Used to drink it a lot. I used to actually go to a Japanese mall in Arlington Heights, Illinois, and I would just buy like imported sake there, and you could tell the difference between the shit that was imported straight from Japan and the shit you got here. It was like enormous. But sake will mess you up. Yeah, well, sake will mess you up. It's an acquired taste, and you really have to understand how to drink it. I had it warm last night, but again, I drank like half of it and just left the rest. It was nice. Total bill came to about $30, half of which was sake, half of which was the main course. If I had gone without the sake, it would have been a lot cheaper. Yeah. So it was my birthday. I decided to treat myself. I usually try to go out for my birthday and have dinner. One of these days, I will not have dinner by myself. Yeah. One of these days, I will not have dinner by myself. Which is interesting because as I was telling Lynette when I got home last night, after driving through a really brutal rainstorm, started cloud bursting about 10 minutes after I got out of Lancaster. And oh my God, it was ridiculous. I didn't even think about, I've got the car on cruise control. I've got the wipers going fast and I'm driving. And all of a sudden I can feel the front end starting to move around on the car, which means it's starting to hydroplane, which means there's so much water on the road that you're lifting off the road surface. And I could feel it. I could feel the car starting to hydroplane. And I've done that before. And the minute that happened, I kicked off cruise control and backed down like about 15 miles an hour, which meant I was still going about 50 miles an hour. And everybody was at that point was driving like 40. And I'm like, because I'm like that. But I was like, holy shit, I have not been in a car that started hydroplaning in a long time. And that's an indication of just exactly how much water was on the road. And one of the things I have noticed about Pennsylvania is there's not a lot of good drainage on the roads here. You do get a lot of hydroplaning. And I think part of it is the section of 283 where this was happening, there are a lot of hills. So when I was starting to hydroplane, I was actually going up a hill. And it's because there's so much water coming down at you, you're actually forcing the car up and over it. And so you're driving literally on top of the water as it's coming down the hill. And that's probably what was actually happening, is I was forcing myself up over the water. And I don't freak out. I mean, it's like I can feel the car the front end starting to move around a little bit on me. I better slow down because I'm hydroplaning. I have people hit me while I'm on skates. So hydroplaning, I got this. Which brings us to big part of this. The reason I had to ask permission for a drink for last night is because today is bout day. Yeah. Today is the last home game of our travel season for both the All-Stars and the Blitz. It is actually the last game of the season for the Blitz. The All-Stars are going to play York in York a couple of weeks from now on the 17th? 17th or 18th? Yeah, 18th. 2 weeks from this Saturday, I believe, they play in York. And that'll be the last game of the travel team season. We were supposed to have one game at the beginning of June in Mortontown, West Virginia, but they had to cancel because they lost their venue at the last moment. So that was supposed to have been both our A and B teams, our All-Stars and the Blitz, were supposed to go out there and play their A and B team, and it just fell through. Tonight we're playing Salt City out of Syracuse, New York, and they're bringing their A and B team. So it's going to be our All-Stars against our A team, Blitz against our B team. I am playing. That's why I had to ask permission about getting a drink, because the rules pretty much indicate that you are not supposed to drink 24 hours before a bout. And when I would have been going to dinner would have been within the 24-hour window. So I said, I'm just going to have a small drink, just one, very small. And they were like, okay, but don't drink after midnight, because technically speaking, they don't want us drinking at all the day of the bout. And I can understand it. I had that 4-hour window in there. Basically I had about a 3 or 4 hour window where I could have like one little drink and not be violating rules too much. Hard actually used to have a 48-hour rule, and there was a reason for that. Some leagues do have a 48-hour rule, and again, there's a reason for that. And I heard some of the stories of why there's a reason for that at Hard. Yeah. Like driving to a bout and everybody is so drunk. Our beer cans and beer and liquor bottles rattling around on the floor of vehicles. And basically you pull into your hotel at 5 a.m. drunk on your ass and go to sleep, and you wake up all hungover the next, that same day, and you go. Yeah, I've heard all sorts of horror stories about the old days, the good old days, where, it wasn't unheard of for people to just show up hungover as hell to bout. Which is something I could not imagine doing, is playing hungover. I've had to work hungover. That was bad enough. I can't imagine strapping on a pair of skates and getting out there and just having some people pounding the hell out of you while you're hungover. Or better yet, drunk. I mean, yeah, I have heard stories about drinking like right up to the moment of the bout. Or drinking during the bout. There's something in your water glass that's not quite water. It's not quite water in your water bottle. Yeah, I've heard all those horror stories. Yeah. I've also heard some really massive horror stories from Hard's glory days, where the motto was, even if we lose the bout, we win the after party. And they did. One of the ones I never got quite the full story on was one of our NSOs said he was actually called at like 2:30 in the morning. And it was a couple of people from the team who were stranded on a train platform. They were way out of town. I think they were playing in like New Hampshire. And they said they were stranded on a train platform at like 2:30 in the morning and they had absolutely no idea where they were, because they had gotten real drunk and I guess the thing is they were still like in their team jerseys. So, there's like 2 or 3 drunk derby girls walking around on a train platform in New Hampshire at like 2:30 in the morning going, where are we? Let's call them and tell them we're lost. Yeah, I never heard the full story on that, but apparently it was pretty wild. I did see a picture, and it may have been from that same trip, where there were 2 members of Hard actually pushing a third in a shopping cart, and it looked like they were at a train platform. And I was like, yeah, I probably don't want to know the whole story behind this one. But yeah, I also heard a lot of stories of like tournament play where it was crazy. I remember last year for the Be More Classic, I had went down the night before to the Lacey Knight clinic. Yay, me. And skated in that and came home. And then the next day I went down to watch the Be More Classic because some of the people that I'd been in the clinic with said, oh, we're playing tomorrow. And I saw some of these people, and a couple of them looked pretty harried. Like, what's wrong with you? Oh, a little hungover. It's like, are you shitting me? You went out and drank after that clinic? Seriously? You went out and got drunk after that clinic? And apparently the answer was yes. I was like, baby. Oh man, I couldn't imagine that because I know I drove home and I had a 2.5 hour drive because I was coming back from Laurel, Maryland, which is just north of DC. I mean, I'm just north of DC. I could have been downtown in like 20 minutes from where I was at in Laurel, Maryland. And I'm driving home and I'm coming up I-95, and I'm coming up to the turnoff at Baltimore to get on 695. And I went to move my right leg to hit the brake because, I use my right leg for both gas and brake. And I was having some difficulty moving my leg. It was like, it hurts to move my leg. And that was when I was just like, oh my God, I am going to be so sore. This is going to hurt. So, I'm driving on cruise control most of the way back, and I get all the way to York, and I decide I have to stop and get gas. So I manage to get off, and I go to the Sheets, and I open the door to get out of the car, and it's like, I can't move. I hurt everywhere. I do. I fucking hurt. I did. I just hurt everywhere. I finally got out of the car and I was laughing my ass off because there literally wasn't a part of my body that wasn't hurting. I was just like, I can't move. I hurt so much. And part of it is, you've been doing all this exertion. I mean, so much physical exertion. And then you sit for like 2 hours. And then you go to move. That's fine. I don't care. Go away. So, yeah, it's just like, holy shit, I can't move. And I think I even posted, I have to go back and look at it, but I did. I was just like, I am so fucking sore. I can't move. And I was just laughing my ass off over it. It was funny as hell. It was funny. But yeah, it just I've lost my train of thought. Had pretty good practices this week. And yeah, playing today. I will be playing. I am on the bench. I will be on the bench. I will get some playing time. I'm pretty sure of it. Depending on how things go, I could be getting a lot more playing time than I'm suspecting because we do have some. It could happen, It could happen. I don't know. I remember my first bout, I got a little bit more playing time in the second half, basically because we had a couple of players that were kind of up on penalties, so they weren't going out. So I got a little bit more playing time in the second half than I did in the first. So we'll see what happens. The thing that's important for me is I'm finishing up the travel team season with my team on the track. And even though I only got into 2 bouts, I could have been in 4, and 2 of those were due to my own stupidity of not taking care of my body. So learned my lesson, and now get strong, get better, make the home team, play, get more experience, and then come back next year and not be an alternate for the Blitz. Actually be a regular player. That's my goal. So we'll see. But I'm going to make it. Get through tonight. I got my jersey out. My routine now is I put my jersey out the day before the bout starts. I guess to remind me that I'm playing today. Yeah. So we'll be playing. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be emotional. It will be, because it was in 2 bouts. Could have been in 4. Actually, I could have been in all 5 because of the way things went. I actually could have played in every bout. Might not have got a lot of playing time, but I would have been there. As I like to joke, I was actually in more programs than I was in bouts. I made 4 programs, including today. I'll be in today's program. And I only played in 2 bouts. So shit happens. So. But Naomi will be out there. So. And that was one of the cool things yesterday, was I actually had people saying happy birthday, Naomi. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be emotional. And one of the things that happened last Sunday, because we played hard last Sunday. We played hard, and it didn't quite work out the way we wanted it to work out. Hart beat us. Hart beat us by 89 points, and they really outplayed us dramatically. They played hard, no pun intended. But they did. They kicked our asses. And got to give credit where credit's due. I even told Roxy and Ida at the after party. I went to the after party. Yeah. And I even told them, I says, you guys played a really great game. Congratulations. And look forward to the rematch, But yeah, you guys did great. It was a great game. And thanks for having us. I was being really gracious. Which, I wasn't going to go there and be an asshole. I wanted to go there and talk to a few people, and I did. And I actually had one person come up to me and tell me, she said, you do seem like you're far more relaxed. You do seem like you're having a lot more fun now. That DDR, Dutchland, is a much better fit for you. And I said, I do feel that. And part of it was because something happened. I've been going on about this bout for months, literally, talking about it. But yeah, last Sunday I was like, this is it. I got to go to the rink. I got to go to Enola and go into a rink that I haven't been in since November, which I went into to watch a game. Hard played York. And I was having a lot of trepidation. And it was even coming up Saturday night because I knew it. I could feel it. I was going to work the merch table. I knew this was going to happen. And I even went to practice on Sunday morning. Lynette, she says, do you really need to go to practice on Sunday morning? And I'm like, I don't want to sit around all day Sunday anticipating going to the rink, going over to Enola. I just want to go and, hit bitches and get it out of my system, really get my mind off of it. And it was me and about 7 other people showed up. And I did. It got it out of my system. But still, by the time I got back here, I got cleaned up. Because that's what I said. By the time I get back here, I get cleaned up, have a little something to eat. I'm only going to have about 45 minutes to get ready before I got to head over. Because I had to be there at 4:30. And so I got there. And it was funny because I pull in the parking lot. Duh. And I'm like, where is everyone? Why aren't they here yet? And after I was sitting there for about 3 or 4 minutes, I go, I should check some of the cars. And I looked, I was like, oh yeah, there's Doom's car. A couple of them are already here. So I go inside. And I go back to the party room, which is where the visiting players always change at the Olympic. A little bit of knowledge I already had. And I walk in, and yeah, there's like Doom is in there, Lucy's in there, Woomer's in there, Mama's in there. I forget who else was in there. A couple of other people. And as I walk in, Mama, Pack 2, Mama Moscata, she goes, and we're being visited by, and here we are being visited by a special person, Nomi Snarks. And people start applauding. I was like, hey guys, sorry. I said I thought I was going to be the first one here. I guess I was wrong. And everybody was laughing, and everybody was up. And I said, be honest, you really don't know how hard it was for me to walk in here. I said, I've had a lot of trepidation about coming back here, and my anxiety has been up most of the day. And Woomerine, she is one of our pivots, Pack 2 pivot. She goes, why would it be? This is your team. You're with your sisters now. And that just hit me. It hit me real hard. Because I never had that articulated to me before. I've had people on DDR always tell me, this is your team, this is your team, this is your team, always. And never really had that happen too much at Hard. I mean, everybody would always say, you're part of the team. But I never had it laid out like that, where it's like, your sisters are here, you're with your sisters. And I told Woomer Monday night, I said, that really gave me some closure. They really did. It nailed it. It was like, yeah, I am. And I even said that. I go, you guys are right. This is my team. You are my sisters. And I said, so go out there and kick some ass. And I think that's why people say, people were telling me, or at least one person was telling me, you look like you're at ease. You look like DDR is a better fit for you. I can see it on you that you look more comfortable being over here than you did when you were with us. So, yeah, I did have a couple of people come over and talk to me. I had a couple of people I talked to. I said goodbye to Ariel. Sunday was her last bout. She moved back up to Central New York. And I thanked her because I basically said we had had a conversation in August, and she convinced me not to quit Derby. And I stayed on, and she told me the last thing she said. I said, I want to thank you for that. And she goes, you stuck with it because it's something you love, not go do good things. So, and I talked to Red, and she was like, where were you today? Why weren't you playing? And I told him, I said, the reason I wasn't on the roster is I got injured. I said I got injured right before the roster went out, and they wouldn't put me on the roster. They were afraid I was going to get hurt. And both Ariel and Red said, yeah, don't, that was a smart thing to do. It was a good thing you weren't playing hurt. Because both of them have played hurt before, especially Red. Red ended up missing, whole back half of a season in 2017 because she messed up her ankle. Because she was playing hurt on it. So, yeah, got pictures with them. It's really nice to see them. I had one person kind of semi-roll their eyes at me when they said, hi, Cass, how's it going? I said, oh, it's going well. I said, oh, by the way, it's Nomi now. And they were like, okay. They didn't actually roll their eyes, but it came close. Like, okay, it's know me. Yeah. See, there's this name on the front of the jersey, and I earn the right to wear this jersey with this name on the front, which means I earn the right to be called the name that's on the back. And I had a couple of people, won't name names, but every time they'd walk by the merch table, and I was like right next to one of the entrances onto the rink floor. And every time they'd walk by, they'd get that 1,000-yard stare where they were just like, she's not there. She's not there. And I would just like look and smile. Hi. Hey, I didn't say anything, but I would just look in their direction and smile. And that was it. They'd just get the 1,000-yard stare and pretend like I wasn't there. Okay, go ahead. You do that. You pretend I'm not there. But yeah, good time. It was a good time. And they beat us. And it was a well-deserved win. They played hard. They played really hard. And we need to do that tonight because we do need to have a win. We've only got one win out of 4 bouts so far. So we need a win tonight. You can bet this is going to be a tough game for us. We're probably going to really kick it out. I anticipate it. I anticipate it's going to be a pretty hard fought game. So I just want to be a part of it. That's all. I'm going to be there at the beginning for team introductions. I'm going to be there at the end for team photos. And that's going to be it. And that's what I want. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be good. Even though this is really, the 4th of May is really a weird day for me because I know a lot of people, they wrap the whole Star Wars thing around the 4th of May these days. In fact, we're even doing it. A lot of our music that we're going to play tonight at the bout is going to be Star Wars related. So I would imagine a lot of Derby teams who are playing tonight are going to do the same thing. For me, the thing that I tie back to all the time is the Kent State shootings because it happened 49 years ago today. In fact, in terms of chronology, it's actually happening about 2 hours from now. It's 10:16 right now, and I believe the shootings happened at like 12:25 or something like that. So yeah, the anniversary of the shooting takes place like 2 hours from now. And it was 49 years. It's been 49 years. It was the day after I turned 13. So next year will be the 50th anniversary of the shooting. It'll be 50th anniversary for me. I think at the time, it wasn't a huge traumatic event. I can remember it happening. And of course, I can remember everybody going on about how they should have killed everyone and all this other bullshit. Should have shot everybody. It wasn't a good thing to wake up to as, your second day as a teenager. And a year later, James Michener came out with a book, Kent State, How It Happened and Why. And it was a really good book, even though you could tell he kind of sided with the non-radical people a little bit. But his conclusions were, a lot of the shit that had been talked about, like black radicals were behind it all, that had been disproven. The protests were sort of spontaneous, and that was true. It just came about. People fell into it rather quickly, even though on May 3rd, they generally call that the carnival, the festival. Carnival festival, something like that. I think it's carnival because they said it was really like, even though there were National Guardsmen on the campus, people were, being really rather chill about it, and they were waiting for the official demonstration to start the next day. And then, of course, it did start, and we know what happened. National Guardsmen shot into the crowd, and it really wasn't an accident. I know a lot of people would like to say it was an accident. Even Michener, in his official conclusion, said that he thought it was an accident. Even though in that book, there was photographic evidence that the National Guardsmen were targeting people. One of the pictures, and I've only seen the picture in that book. I was actually looking for it online today. But there's one picture that was published in the Michener book, and it was published for the first time, where the guy snapped the photo and then ducked immediately. And the reason the photo is kind of chilling is because one of the guardsmen, who is wielding a 30-06, he's wielding an M1, which was the standard rifle used by infantrymen during World War II, and even a little bit during Korea, before they switch over to the M14, is pointing directly at this dude. I mean, you literally could almost look right down the rifle barrel. And he said he didn't think about it at the time because he just snapped the photo, then ducked, and he heard the bullets hitting the tree next to him, over basically where he had been standing. And then when he developed the photo, that he noticed that the guardsman was pointing directly at him. He had taken aim on him and was getting ready to shoot him. And you could see in this picture, because he was actually rather close to the guardsman, that a lot of them were aiming into the crowd. They weren't shooting scattered. You could see that they were taking aim and were aiming at people. And a 30-06 is what you use to go like deer hunting with. So it'll bring down a 400-pound buck. And they were shooting at people that were less than 300 feet away. So two of the people, William Schroeder and Sandy Schuster, weren't even actively involved in the protests. They were actually like walking on their way to other places. Schroeder was actually between classes, and he was heading to his next class. And he was an ROTC dude. I mean, he had a degree in philosophy and had applied for ROTC and been accepted. And he caught around. In fact, a friend who was with him said when the shooting started, he started sprinting because he was trying to get out of the way. He didn't know what the hell was going on. And when he heard rifle shots, he started running, and he caught around and it killed him. He actually died in surgery. I believe it was hours later. They got him into surgery. He was, I believe, the last to die. Sandy Schuster caught a round in the neck. Allison Krauss, she caught a round in the chest. And Jeffrey Miller, most famously, caught a 30-06 round right in the face. His was the photo of the girl screaming over his body as he was lying face down, because the round caught him and spun him backwards and flopped him down on the ground. I mean, you catch a 30-06 round in the face, there's nothing left of your face. And one of the incidences that occurred was later, a National Guardsman was getting ready to flip Miller's body over with their foot. And a bunch of students were standing around, and one person who was there described the scene. It was like, you could tell in that instance, if that guy had flipped Miller's body over, the students were getting ready to tear him apart. Apparently, some girls started screaming the minute he got his foot under his body, and they backed off. The guy said it would have been ugly because these guys still had loaded weapons, and the students probably would have rushed them if that had happened. So. But yeah, like some of the people who were there, one of the coaches, I want to say like the current coach for Alabama Crimson Tide was actually there. He was a graduate. He was at Kent State at that time. So was Joe Walsh. Not Joe Walsh, the crazy Republican. Joe Walsh, the guitarist, was actually a student at Kent State at that time. And I have actually heard, like back in the 80s, 70s and 80s, Joe Walsh used to come on the radio. He'd show up on Steve Dahl's show in Chicago and would talk about what it was like being on Kent State at that time. He said, yeah, he did actually, I believe he did see the shooting actually go down. He was like, not part of the demonstration. He was kind of like chilling off in some distance, and he said, yeah, he did see it go down. So it was pretty wild. That's always going to be my 4th. I'm always going to remember that. That's not something that I'm ever going to forget. And next year will be the 50th anniversary. I'm half contemplating actually going to Kent State next year and being there for the memorial service, which would be on a Monday next year. Be the 50th. That's my bucket list. My bucket list. I want to go to the 50th anniversary of the Kent State demonstrations, Kent State shooting. Be there for that. But it did. What really kind of radicalized me a little bit was a year later when I was reading the Michener book. And we were on vacation because that book came out in June. And I was reading it in July. I bought it right away because I was like that. So, yeah, July of 71, I was reading it. And, of course, we're out camping. We're at the campsite. I'm in the trailer. We had a Coleman trailer, pop-up trailer. And my parents were like, why aren't you out doing stuff? Because most 14-year-olds usually want to go do stuff. Not me. I wanted to read, and I was reading. And I said, I'm reading this book. And they're like, what are you reading? And it's like, oh, it's a book, James Michener's book on Kent State. And my dad was like, what are you trying to turn into a hippie now? And it just rubbed me wrong. I mean, it really did. And I said, no, I'm trying to understand what happened there. And, and of course, he's still trying to push it. He's like, well, is he siding with the hippies? This is James Michener. I said, he's a really famous author. He does a lot of research into his work. I go, he's not taking sides with anyone. He did a little bit, but for the most part, I think his book is probably one of the best on the subject. But anyway, that kind of like, Jesus, why are my parents, especially my dad, just getting so nasty about this whole damn thing? And I know, they've been like, kill all the hippies and everything who were there and all this other bullshit. And it was right around that time, too. I also started reading Harlan Ellison, who was quite affected by the shooting as well. In fact, he actually dedicated one of his books of short stories to them. And then received a really weird letter from a fan who told Harlan in no uncertain terms that, these guys were communist sympathizers and they needed to die. So in the next book that Harlan put out, he actually wrote about his reaction to this letter and how this guy, it really kind of scared him because he says, this guy actually wrote a pretty decent letter. And this is the kind of shit that's going on out there in America right now. We've got people like this who have this kind of idea. And he goes, it's not insane gibberish. It's not written on toilet paper. It's actually kind of well thought out and articulated. So that bothers me because this is not the attitude you would expect an educated person to have. And as I've stated before, reading Harlan really was what kind of like got my head out of my ass. It was like, there's a lot of shit in this world that's screwed up. So, yeah, Kent State in its own little way kind of had something to do with me. Kind of helped make me the person I am. That and drugs. Nah, not so much drugs. Well, not a lot. I didn't do a lot. Well, I didn't do a lot of drugs, but yes, I did do drugs when I was younger. I did. So. Anyway, about day today, last time. I'm trying to stay hydrated. I was going to have my water bottle over here and I was going to be drinking, but I decided not to get up and go get my water bottle. But yeah, I will get all my water in before I go to the rink today. I'm charging up my my batteries. I'll pack my gear bag here in a bit. I'm going to have lunch, take a nap, and then leave here about 3:15 or so. Get down there to park, get into place, because, usually I'm like one of the first people there, and just be ready to go. I got to ask coaching a couple of things too, because I'm videographer once again, and I don't have a backup. And it's going to be like, how do you want me to do this? Do you want me to gear up out by my video camera while I have the chance and then just jump on the track when everybody else takes to the track? Or do you want me to just like wait until filming's done and then rush back, gear up, and then come out on the track? What do you want me to do? So see what coaching has to say. I'm prepared to just like haul all my gear out to where I'm going to be filming, and then at halftime get everything on except my wrist guards, and then when I get the chance, like when it gets real close, I get my wrist guards on, and then the last thing I'll throw on is my skates and my helmet and jump out on the track with everyone else. But yeah, I'll have to ask coaching what they want me to do, because it's going to be like I'm going to be filming by myself, and if they want me to film, the entire All-Star bout, that's what I got to do. I don't have my assistant with me, so we'll see what happens. All right. So take care, and I'll talk next week. Maybe I'll talk sooner than that. We'll see. Take care now. Goodbye.